The thing about fairy tales is they rarely tell you what happens after happily ever after. We see the princess marry the prince, the credits roll, and we assume sunshine and rainbows from then on. But what if the dragon wasn't slain, just lurking in the shadows, waiting for its moment to strike? What if the real battles were fought not on a battlefield, but within the gilded cage of a palace? That's the story of Prince William and Kate, the Duchess of Wales, a story far more twisted and treacherous than any fable. We all watched Kate Middleton, a commoner, step into the royal spotlight. She was the breath of fresh air the monarchy desperately needed, effortlessly charming, connecting with the people in a way that felt genuine, not manufactured. She was everything Princess Diana had been, and everything the institution seemed determined to suppress. And that, my friends, is where our story truly begins. Picture this: Adelaide Cottage nestled in Windsor Great Park. Sounds idyllic, right? A sanctuary for William, Kate, and their children. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. A place to escape the suffocating scrutiny of Kensington Palace. But what if that sanctuary was a carefully constructed trap? What if the walls themselves were listening? The move was framed as a quest for normalcy, a chance for the children to have a somewhat ordinary childhood. The press ate it up. Royal family seeks quiet life, they proclaimed. But behind the scenes, a different game was being played. New staff arrived, recommended by Buckingham Palace, faces unfamiliar, eyes too watchful. Kate, a woman with a keen sense for the subtle currents of palace intrigue, felt it immediately. These weren't the loyal, discreet servants she was used to. These were observers, spies perhaps, their allegiance unclear. Then came the whispers, the cryptic messages on her personal phone. "Your enemies are closer than you think, Duchess." Harmless pranks, she initially thought. The work of some obsessive fan, but the messages grew darker, more pointed, hinting at betrayal within the very walls of her home. Not everyone in new uniforms is loyal to you. Watch what you hear and who you trust. That's when the unease turned to cold, hard suspicion. And then the press leaks. Not just the usual gossip, but disturbingly accurate details of her private life, her habits, her conversations, information that could only have come from someone inside the household. Someone who was watching, listening, reporting back. The timing was too precise to ignore. The new staff, the messages, the leaks, it all pointed to one person, Camilla, the queen consort. Camilla, shrewd, ambitious, and determined to secure her place in history. She saw Kate's popularity not as an asset to the monarchy, but as a direct threat to her own authority. Kate, with her effortless grace and genuine connection to the public, was overshadowing Camilla's carefully cultivated image. And in the cutthroat world of the royal family, perception is everything. Camilla had urged William to accept the new staff, framing it as a gesture of support, a way to ease the transition to Windsor. But now, looking back, Kate saw it for what it truly was: an infiltration, a calculated move to gain control. Was this truly assistance or surveillance disguised as help? The answer, she feared, was chillingly clear. The dragon wasn't lurking, it had already infiltrated the castle. The battle for the soul of the monarchy had begun, and Adelaide Cottage was ground zero. That photo, it haunted Kate. Prince George and Prince Louis, vulnerable, innocent, their faces splashed across the tabloids, their safety compromised. This wasn't just about power. It was about family, about protecting her children from a world that could be vicious and unforgiving. Fury, a cold, controlled fury, surged through her veins. William returned from a meeting, his face etched with exhaustion. Kate held out the newspaper, folded to the offending image. "I found this," she said, her voice low but sharp. "I don't know how they got it, William, but one thing's clear. There's a traitor in our home, and I'm convinced Camilla's behind it." He studied the photograph, his pulse quickening. That view, their garden, the boys beneath the oak tree. It should have been impossible. He'd heard the rumors, dismissed them as tabloid fodder. Now, confronted with this undeniable violation, a chill crawled down his spine. "Kate, are you absolutely sure?" he asked, but the fear was already settling deep in his gut. "I am," she said steadily. "Everything connects. The new staff, the messages, and now this. She's trying to drive a wedge between us, to isolate me." He wrapped his arms around her, but even as he held her, a dark unease stirred within him. Could Camilla truly orchestrate such deceit? His heart refused to believe it, but Kate's reasoning was ironclad. That night, sleep offered no escape. The air inside Adelaide Cottage felt heavy, the walls themselves seeming to listen. The dream of peace in Windsor had shattered, replaced by a quiet war, unseen but deadly, waged at the very center of the monarchy. Kate knew she couldn't remain passive. This was no longer about comfort or image. It was about survival. No one, not even a queen, would endanger her family. Adelaide Cottage, once a sanctuary, had become a quiet battleground where every word, every movement carried the weight of mistrust. Kate became hyper-aware, dissecting every glance, every hesitation, searching for the shadow of deceit. That night, she and William had their most serious conversation yet. William, once reluctant to believe Camilla capable of such manipulation, now found the evidence impossible to ignore. "If Camilla truly planted spies in our home," he muttered, chills creeping along his arms, "then what else could she have done?" They resolved that Kate, whose instincts had always been sharper within the treacherous web of royal politics, would take charge. A few days later, while reorganizing the library, Kate made an extraordinary discovery. Beneath a thick Persian rug, hidden under a loose floorboard, lay an old oak box coated in dust. Inside were not keepsakes, but a carefully arranged collection of aged documents, their edges yellow and brittle. She leafed through them cautiously. Each page bore official seals and warnings. Top secret, authorized personnel only. Her eyes widened at a sprawling chart linking high-ranking politicians, corporate magnates, and influential media figures, all interconnected. At the center, circled in red ink, was a single name, Camilla. The more Kate read, the colder her blood ran. The papers exposed an intricate network, a financial and political scheme masterminded by Camilla herself. This wasn't merely about palace influence, it was about national power. Camilla was covertly aligning with a hardline conservative faction across business and government. Their strategy was ruthless: diminish William's authority, isolate Kate, and redirect royal influence toward their own agenda. Every detail was laid bare: the manipulation of press narratives, the fabrication of rumors, the reallocation of royal funds into ventures tied to Camilla's allies. Suddenly, the gossip, the leaks, the hostility no longer seemed random. They were part of a coordinated campaign to reduce William and Kate to ornamental figures, while Camilla quietly steered the monarchy's political reach. But the conspiracy soon crossed from shadow to blood. Just days after the discovery, Kate's schedule included a charity event outside London. Her familiar Range Rover cruised smoothly along the countryside until the driver's panicked shout sliced through the calm. "The brakes aren't responding!" The vehicle lurched violently, spinning out of control. The screech of rubber filled the air as they careened down a steep incline. Kate clutched the seat, her heart hammering against her ribs. The driver wrestled the wheel, fighting physics itself as the Range Rover veered straight toward a line of towering oaks. For an instant, Kate thought of William, of George, Charlotte, and Louis, and the icy thought that she might never see them again. Then, in a desperate maneuver, the driver swerved into a patch of tall grass, crashing into a massive hay bale. The impact jolted them hard but saved their lives. Kate was shaken and bruised, but alive. When investigators examined the wreckage, the findings were chilling. The main brake line had been cleanly severed, and the backup mechanism had been deliberately tampered with. This was not a malfunction, it was an attack. When William arrived at the crash site and saw the wrecked car, his face went pale with fury. The unspoken dread that had lingered for weeks now solidified into certainty. Kate's voice trembled but carried steel. "This isn't politics anymore, William," she said as he held her tight. "They tried to kill me." William's instinct, honed by years within the rigid traditions of monarchy, urged restraint. "We'll handle this internally, Kate," he said gravely. "Find out who's responsible and deal with it quietly. No scandals, no noise." But Kate refused. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but fury. "No, William. Silence is exactly what they want. If we keep pretending nothing's wrong, they'll push further. Today, it was the brakes. Next time, it could be worse. I can't keep living like this. We have to fight back." William's expression faltered. Deep down, he knew she was right. This was no longer about protecting the family's image. It was about survival. The lives of Kate, their children, and his own hung in the balance. When he looked into her eyes, he saw not fear, but a fierce, unyielding determination. That night, after Kate had fallen into an exhausted sleep, William wandered the dim corridors of the cottage, restless. The memory of the wreck, the twisted metal, the smell of smoke, the look on Kate's pale face tormented him. He paced the library. the silence heavy as guilt pressed down on him. Then something caught his eye, his old leather briefcase resting on the desk. As he moved it, a small cream envelope slipped from a hidden compartment. He picked it up. No postage, no markings, just the faint embossed crown of Buckingham Palace. Inside were several aged letters written in slanted handwriting on thick parchment. Each one ended with a single signature, C. William began to read. The letters revealed clandestine correspondence between Camilla and Lord Ashworth, a powerful conservative figure in Parliament. Together, they plotted a political exchange. Camilla would use her influence to back one of Ashworth's controversial bills. In return, he would use his connections to curtail William's political involvement and weaken his standing within the royal hierarchy. Every line burned like acid. Camilla's words spoke of manipulation, control, and calculated betrayal. The future belongs to those who shape perception, not those who follow tradition. One letter read. William's jaw clenched. She wasn't merely undermining him. She was weaponizing the monarchy itself to expand her reach. He had believed in duty, in unity, in the sanctity of family. But this was treachery of the highest order. The woman he had once tried to respect as his stepmother had crossed a line from politics into war. By dawn, the sun's light spilled through the tall windows, catching the edge of the letters spread before him. His face was drawn but resolute. He gathered the papers, folded them carefully, and sealed them in a fresh envelope. When Kate awoke, she found him sitting by her side, the envelope in his hand. His eyes met hers, filled with grim clarity. "You were right, Kate," he said quietly, but with steel in his tone. "No more secrets, no more silence." He handed her the letters. "Camilla isn't just isolating you. She's ready to destroy the crown itself to get what she wants. We have to fight." Kate took the envelope, her fingers trembling as she read the damning evidence. But instead of fear, she felt strength surge within her. For the first time, William truly stood beside her, not as a cautious prince bound by duty, but as a husband, ready to defend what mattered most. A new chapter had begun, one charged with peril, yet pulsing with resolve. Together, they would confront the storm that had taken root within the monarchy and reclaim the truth buried beneath its golden walls. After the harrowing car crash and the shocking revelations hidden within the letters, William's doubt had hardened into fury. The illusion of royal harmony he had clung to was shattered. It had merely disguised the rot spreading beneath Camilla's polished surface. Together, the Prince and Duchess of Wales forged a new plan, not one of open confrontation, but of quiet, methodical warfare. Intelligence and patience would be their weapons. Exposure, their ultimate strike. Kate, no longer the hunted, became the hunter. Her days took on the precision of a strategist's campaign. She installed miniature recording devices camouflaged as ornaments in corridors and sitting rooms where Camilla liked to whisper with her inner circle. She brought back a handful of loyal Kensington aides, men and women whose devotion had never wavered, to track the movements of the new staff. Her digital communications became sparse, coded, and cautious. Instead, she recorded her thoughts by hand in a leather-bound journal, noting every irregularity, every overheard phrase, every calculated smile from the Queen Consort. In public, Kate played her part with Oscar-worthy grace. At royal functions and family gatherings, she met Camilla's barbed suggestions with practiced warmth. When the Queen Consort proposed trimming William's duties or modernizing the Duchess's charitable work, Kate simply smiled. "That's an excellent idea, Your Majesty," she'd say softly, her tone the picture of deference. Behind that smile, though, lay a trap. She was buying time, allowing Camilla's confidence to grow, her circle to tighten, her arrogance to expose itself. William watched her with both admiration and dread. Each polite exchange was a test of nerve. He knew what it cost Kate to stand across from the woman who'd nearly ended her life and smile as if nothing had happened. But she had told him plainly, "We have to lure the serpent from its own nest." Meanwhile, the attacks on Kate intensified. The tabloids, once mild in their gossip, now tore her apart with precision. Headlines branded her as power-hungry, dismissive of royal tradition, even scheming to supplant the queen. Paparazzi dredged up unflattering photos and spun them into narratives of arrogance and ambition. Through it all, Camilla remained absent from public blame, her name never printed, her hands apparently clean. Yet within palace walls, she pulled every string in private luncheons and behind closed doors. Camilla portrayed herself as the weary matriarch. "I do worry about Catherine," she'd sigh to confidants, so eager to prove herself. "I only want what's best for the monarchy." Her voice dripped with false concern, her manipulations wrapped in velvet. One by one, the older royals began to doubt Kate. Even William noticed the distance in their eyes, the polite smiles that no longer reached their faces. The smear campaign had taken root, and its poison was spreading fast.